emergent Atomitake, and he will become the cameraman. Or summon the club activities at the school. Since everyone was still pretty tired from yesterday, we just spent the day relaxing. Yeah, that wasn't happening. Today let's play a classic game of deduction. How about this one? Oh, a game from overseas. Looks interesting. The instructions are in English, but the rules don't seem that hard. I won't lose you here. I'm not too bad at this game. It seemed that Rena didn't handle this kind of game very well. I don't even know what it is. Wait. The rules are the person who can match the murderer, weapon, and the scene of the crime wins. Ah, it's that. Like Cluedo. Is it like, are they doing that just to avoid no, that's an actual brand name, that's the name of an actual game. It's like TM, trademark, and all that shit, you can't do that. I don't know. There's like variations of that game, really, isn't there? But yeah, I know that game. There's a lot of variations of it. So that's probably the only game they've done so far where I'd actually kind of know the rules. I probably wouldn't be good at it, but I kind of know how it works. There are 3 cards. The cards comprise of suspects, weapons, and locations. I can see that the names Mion and Rika were written on the suspect cards. Oh, a card with my name on it as well. There are plenty of different weapons too, like knives, axes, and poison. The locations are pretty nice too, like the living room, study, and the courtyard. How cliche! It's always like that, isn't it? Just like big-ass freaking building, different rooms. So basically, you take out one of each of the cards. These are the answer cards. You know, I imagine there must be an absurd version of that game that has the most absurd characters and locations and weapons. Just be like, alright, Leon, I suspect that you did it in the abyss with a match. Like, what? Just like, yeah, that's totally what happened. So we shuffle the remaining cards and handle them out. We ask each other about the cards and figure out the right ones. Ah, I see. So the cards nobody has are the true perpetrators. Then you raise your hand if you know the answer. The game ends and we check if the answer is correct. If you're right, then you get a point. If you're wrong, then you lose a point. Since the game ends even if no one gets it right, all the cards are gathered up and redistributed. Yes, I was just thinking that. It's like, what if nobody gets it right? Just like, if nobody gets it right, then the mystery will never be solved. Well, it will. It'll just be like, none of you solved it. You'll learn as you go. You really have to use your brain. You'll get confused if you don't take notes. Yeah, that's the pain in the ass thing about that game, is you have to take notes. Unless you're good with memory, I guess. The rest you can figure out by playing. So, Mio, what's the penalty this time? Everybody direct their attention to Mio. Let's see. We're all still a little tired from yesterday, so maybe we'll take it easy with, go for a penalty. You'll be asked to rush out and buy stuff for everyone. Take it easy, my ass. Just being asked to go buy stuff like drinks and candy, I guess. Yeah, but it'd probably be even worse than that. I feel like the penalty today is pretty simple. Look at her, look so disappointed. Like, I wanted a more serious penalty. I wonder, is it really? I mean, come on, you know they take it to the limit and beyond for these penalties, man. They'll make you freaking go back and forth a million times. You'd be like, no, this isn't what I wanted. Go back and get this. Like, is this what you want? No, go back and get that. It's like, this is the worst penalty that I thought. This kid's then thinking what I'm thinking. Yeah, you don't know what you'll have to go buy. Well, it's that too, isn't it? I'm betting Mion would send out whoever loses to buy stuff like hemorrhoid cream or happy family planning manual or other cream stuff. Probably a porn mag or some shit. Would they even have that? Well, actually, their village doesn't actually have shops, so you'd have to go into the town, so they probably would be able to find something like that. The cards will likely shuffle the best after each other. You know, I find it kind of funny how, like, I said, like, this is the turning point, right? Where things start to get more serious, and we're still got, like, some of this. I remember in the previous recording mentioning that, though, it's just like, it won't go, like, constantly in that direction, where, like, be all dark the whole way through. It's just that it'll become more prominent the further into the plot we get. It'll still have, like, some, like, kind of moments like this, to an extent. Because you gotta relieve the tension a bit here and there. You can't just fall out tension, and not, like, have some comic relief, essentially. The cards will likely shuffle the master to explain the real perpetrator, the correct weapon, and the scene of the murder have been taken out. So that means all the cards I have in my hand are innocent cards. Then I'll go first, since I'm the club president, I guess. Well then... wait, what? Is that part of a sentence? Well then, me on night study. Pick one suspect, weapon, and murder scene and ask each person. If you have any of those cards, then you must say I have one. However, you don't need to say which one you have. Yeah, I got it. Me too. I have one. Oh my, all of them are here. 3 people answered when she asked if they had Mion, Knife, and Study. So that means that Mion and Knife and Study are all in the clear. Got to jot that down. Ah, yeah. You would really need to take notes, really, wouldn't you? Unless you got ridiculous memory. And I'll go Rena X Lounge. Only 2 people said they had one. So it means out of Rena X and Lounge, if one of them is correct and part of the crime, no wit. Even if they say they have one, I don't have to say how many. It's possible that either Satoka or Rikichan has 2 of the cards. Ah, yeah, I suppose that's how the game would have its competitiveness to it. Because then you could, like, psych out the other players and be like, yeah, I got that one. And it's like, I've got 2 of them actually, but I'm not gonna point that out. They'll be thinking, you're just like, oh, what if you already got that card and not the other? Oh, gotta really think about it. Consider the odds. Well, Keiichi is next. Go ahead. But wait just a little. I'm still sorting things out. Game has me thinking more than I thought. That's kind of a weird sentence, really, to think about it. The game has me thinking more than I thought. Thinking more than I thought. It's like, I'm thinking more than I thought. It's like, you're thinking more than you're thinking. I know. Oh man, this feels like it's gonna be tough. Alright, now I have the criminal. What? Already? Here I am spinning around in circles and Mion just now raises her hand like a super detective. That last bit wasn't actually in there. The murderer is Rikichan, in the infirmary with the poison. Well, Mion drew the cards in the box and we checked to see if her deduction was right. Wait, how's that work? Wait, actually, that would be how we have to do it, right? But if you do that, then... oh man, it's so confusing. Like, could anyone just be like, okay... oh wait. Maybe it's like only one person gets to like, try to solve it. If they like come to a conclusion. If they're wrong, you have to like reshuffle everything and do it all over again. I think, maybe. Because otherwise it wouldn't make sense. Because then it's like, oh, we've got, this is the answer. It's like, let's put it back and see who has the answer now. It wouldn't make sense. You were right. All I needed was one more hand. I couldn't tell whether it was poison or a pistol.
I'd never use a pistol. All I killed men slowly with poison.
The things she says, seriously. Rika-chan said such a hugely terrifying thing with such a sweet little face. Everyone was making a commotion about how they owned this house. Ren and I were left out in the cold, though.
What did you do, Keiichi-kun? I couldn't get it at all.
Don't worry, I had no idea either.
How can you both be so unsure? You'll both end up in last place together at this rate.
That's even worse. Going out buying something together as a couple. What if we ended up having to buy the Happy Family Planning Guide? Or condoms, that could also be awkward.
I can tell from Keiichi's expression that he's not very good at this game.
That's not true. I'll show you the true power of Sherlock my bar during the next round. Get me my pipe and thick mustache and monocle. And my fedora or whatever.
My, that sounds just wonderful. I shall give you quite the thrashing. I'll give you the thrashing of a Gyarados.
After that, I managed to somewhat grasp the trick behind the game, but I was still always a step or two behind. Like, damn it, playing detective is tough. I saw that Mion was somehow gleaning information from how the others were asking their questions. That level of experience was just too much. The only way I could stage a comeback was if I became ruthless. I tossed out the simple concept of deduction and switched over to the thought process needed to win. The important thing isn't to find out the criminal, it's to win at the game! But, that is how you win the game, though, isn't it? Eureka! Sorry, I need to go to the bathroom.
Take your time and squeeze out a nice one.
Wouldn't I give him more time to think? Wouldn't it be like, no bathroom breaks?
Keiichi, that's gross.
I had them hurled off the game and headed down the hall. The air was crisp. It showed just how stagnant the air in the classroom was from our body heat. On the school grounds, some of our classmates were still playing around. After spending some time cooling my head, Rena had made her way over towards me.
Keiichi-kun, did you call for me?
Yeah, I did. As I got up from my seat, I winked over at Rena. I'm glad it worked out. I don't want to waste much time, so I'll get right to the point. Rena, what's your record at the game we're playing today? This game. She was taken aback. After a moment, she hesitantly opened her mouth.
Well, all losses. Why do you ask, I wonder.
I could tell from how apprehensively she was playing. The way things are going, I will as well. I can't figure out a way to pull off a last-minute comeback on this one.
So I guess both of us will be taking that penalty.
Hey, don't accept defeat already. How about we win this? Both of us.
But how can we?
I brought my lips up to Rena's ear.
Is that allowed?
Did you forget, Rena, the second rule of our society? Do everything in your power to obtain victory. It's true. It's like, screw the rules. You play to win.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
Our plan of attack was a quiet 3-1. At the beginning of the game, everyone would be focused on their own hand for a while, taking notes and whatnot. Since our seats were right next to each other, we'd reveal our hands to each other. You know, wouldn't another trick be to kind of like trick them out by saying you have cards that you don't actually have just to throw them off? It's just like that. When you really, if you look at it that way, it's like a game of detective where you've got multiple detectives and they're constantly trying to like throw off all the other detectives so that they can win. And it'll be like, it's like, it'd be complete incompetence in that one. It's like, my god, man, just because one of you wants to take the credit for solving the crime, the mystery and all that shit, you're a freaking incompetent bunch. It reminds me of like, paleontology of all things. Like, I think it was the late 19th century, early 20th century. I forget their names, but like they were like two main guys that like were like, you know, uncovering all these dinosaur bones and all that, and they kept trying to sabotage each other because they were just like, no, I will get the glory. Just like, god damn this stupid incompetence. You freaking work together if you're going to work together at all. Just do it properly. Don't sabotage each other just for the sake of that. That's petty and destroys potential knowledge. Bullshit. Stupid. If we did it under the desk, then nobody would know. That sounds suggestive. We'd begin the game with twice as much information as everyone else. Having this much information would mean we'd need to investigate less. We have this sort of plan of attack. We start off with a big lead over the other guys.
Yeah, with this we can probably win.
We both smirked at each other. If I was the shady businessman, then Rena was the corrupt senator. Pleasure doing business with you. Then let's hurry. We'll work at the duo to surprise everyone. I wonder if they're talking ever so loudly and they overhear them.
You know, there's no point if we go back to Galler. It would be like kind of telling them we made a little arrangement.
Oh wait, no, that was a little arrangement. Can't tell who's talking all the time. But you gotta like pay attention to the like character on the screen. Like if they make a movement, it seems an indicator that they're the one speaking, and it's sometimes obvious, but sometimes not. You know.
Oh, sorry then. What should we do?
Go back ahead of me, Rena. I'll take my time coming back after washing my face or something.
Okay, got it.
Then turned around and headed back to the classroom. I guess I should wait a bit longer before going back. If I went too soon, it wouldn't seem like I went to the bathroom. If Mion or one of them suspected something, then there could be problems. Well, they figured it out sooner or later, because both Ren and I would start winning over and over again. Both Ren and I will have earned enough points to avoid being the losers by the time Mion realized what was happening. Excellent. Not bad at all. Ibaraku, may I have a moment? It's the teacher. It's like, Keiichi, right, about this carefree kind of fun and games you got going on here, we want to have you deal with a bit of the plot. Man, things were just getting good. What is it, I'm a bit?
You have a guest. Please make your way to the entrance.
A guest? Not like I own a hotel.
They've been waiting. Please hurry.
It was rather unfortunate that I'd have someone waiting on me right before my big match. So I was more interested in the unexpected guest. I didn't want to waste any time, so I decided to take care of it quickly. But the game, man! Sure, it's plot, but man, the game was getting intense and interesting. The entryway was a heavy contrast in the hot sunlight and deep shadows. There he is. Waiting there, looking uncomfortably warm, was a middle-aged man, his tie slightly loosened and his jacket tucked underneath his arm. This guy tends to play an important role in all this as well. It's like, I don't know, like, when it comes to like main characters, secondary characters, and minor characters and all that, I don't know, would he count as a main character or a secondary character? He's like, plays an important role, but he's not like there constantly or anything. It's just like when he shows up, like in this, for example, is like that's one of the main turning points. It's like, okay, the plot's gonna get serious now. Are you Maibara-san? Keiichi Maibara-san? There was no question that he wasn't a resident of Hinamizawa and that this was, without a doubt, the first time he had met me. Ever since I met Tomatanga-san, I'd been running into so many middle-aged men. That's right, who might you be? I have the AC on in my car. Let's talk there. It's a bit hot here, don't you think? The man completely ignored my question, pointed over to his car parked near the gate and began walking. It's like, how suspicious, man. Just like, no, who the hell are you, sir? You're a middle-aged man that I don't know. You just come to my school, and you're just like, hey, let's go talk to in my car. It's got AC in there. And it's like, I don't care, man. Tell me who the fuck you are and what you want. You've got to be kidding me. I had no intention of going along with some geezer I didn't even know. And he was asking me to get in his car with him. I'm not going to bite. Come on now. He opened the back door of his car and called me over. I didn't like this old man, but I wanted to know what this was about. Then it's just like takes a dead-end kind of turn or something like, you know, like Karen Shoujo for one thing, like, not Katawa Shoujo, Karen Shoujo, I keep saying that every time I mention it. But it's like, it's also a detective kind of horror thriller kind of thing. And like you get kind of game over ending kind of things where like you take a wrong turn in the plot and suddenly it's like BAM! Back to the main menu for you, bitch! And it's just like, imagine that. But this visual sound novel doesn't even have choices, believe it or not. It's very different. But anyway, imagine if you just get to the car and then he just pulls out a pistol. BAM! Game over. Just like go back and make a different choice. It's like, but there were no choices. You well know that conversations that start out like this have never led to anything good. The inside of his car was pretty cool. Cars with air conditioners were supposed to be a luxury. My dad didn't have one in his car, at least. The cars have them more common nowadays. Because, you know, the plot technically takes place in 1984 or 86. I also, like, when I googled Watanagashi when I was trying to figure out what it actually means in English, I just read the, you know when you Google something and it shows you a brief bit of, like, what's on a page, you know, a bit of, like, text and all that. Just, like, look that out on the Wikipedia thing without even clicking on it, you know, kind of like that. Just browsed through it and it just said the Cotton Drifting Festival. But not only that, essentially pointing out that it was originally released in 2002. So that's the date we're going for when it comes to how old Higurashi novels are then. 2002. Please let me know if it's too cold for you, okay? I have a habit of cranking it all the way up. So what business do you have with me? Out of spite, I decided to ignore his remark in the same way he did to me and start my own line of questioning. He pulled out a notepad from his pocket and took out a picture that was stuck between the pages. Do we get to see it? Oh. On it was the face of a pretty goofy-looking guy. If you know anything related to this individual, then please tell me. Who the heck is this? I doubt even his close friends would be able to recognize who he was from this expressionless picture that looked like it was taken at the DMV. There were scribbles on his shirt done in permanent marker. Starting with yours, Barbara-san, and quite a few of your classmates signed as well. Gee, I wonder who they could be talking about. Well, it kind of makes sense how he ended up, like, talking to him then, isn't it? Huh? This is Tomotaga-san. There was no hint of his usual unreliable and easygoing personality in this photo. There was an expressionless, half-asleep face. Isn't that usually the case? It's just like, when you have to take a picture like that, it's just like, no, you gotta have a serious expression. You can't smile or anything like that. I wouldn't smile for the picture anyway, really. Just like, so that's one thing, you know, like, there are a lot of people who, like, can't help but smile when they're having the picture taken. I'm the complete opposite. I find smiling awkward. It's like, it just feels like not genuine enough. Like, if you smile in a genuine way, like, it's just like, you'd have to, like, have, like, someone with a camera at the right time for a genuine smile kind of thing. Because I don't tend to like to do the fake smile thing, because it just looks like a smirk. It just doesn't look right. It's just like, it makes it look less of, oh, look at him smiles, more of. Especially with one picture where, like, the camera, for some reason, the flash on it made my eye look demonic as well as the smirk. It just looked freaky as fuck. It's just like, ah. I'm not very photogenic in general, really. Even before seeing it, I had a good idea of who it was. Wait, I forgot to read that, didn't I? Log! Then do you know this woman? I don't remember her name, but she's some lady who was with Tomotaki-san last night. I didn't know what her name was, but I did know she was a resident of Hinibazawa. Is he gonna finally tell her name? No, I'll say his name. God. When was the last time you saw these two? The night at Watanagashi we spoke. They seemed pretty close, I guess. Did anything bother you about them? Anything is fine. Go ahead and say it. Being asked for every little detail is very troubling, honestly. Had a pretty good idea of who this guy was by now. Did something happen though? There was no response to my inquiry. Thus I replied to that silence in kind. I was pretty sure, no, certain, that this guy was a cop. Then why? Why was he asking about Tomotaki-san? Did something happen to him? More importantly, why me? Shouldn't there have been plenty of other people who knew more about him than I did? The roar of the air conditioner felt unbearably loud. After a long pause, he finally spoke again. You've moved here just recently, isn't that right, my Mara-san? Are you aware, I wonder, about the stories of Oyashiro-sama? My heart began to race. I'm pretty terrible at hiding things. It probably showed on my face. Not at all. If you don't, then that's fine. Well, I have heard of it. Tomotaki-san told me, actually. How much do you know about it? This Mimmerman killing, the accidental death, the death by illness followed by suicide, and the lady who was beaten to death. That was the housewife, wasn't it? The one that wasn't reported in the newspaper. The incidents that always happened the day of the Watanagashi, ending in suspicious deaths. I didn't even thought Tomotaki-san would have kept anything from me. I think that was everything. No, rather, I didn't want to think there was anything more than that. Do you know that? Well, curse my Mara-san. Feel free to speak openly about it. I don't believe in it. My answer was instant. It wasn't so much that I didn't believe in it as I was on the verge of believing. I wanted to clear away my own doubts. That was the more prominent feeling. Really? Then that's great. Guess you really are one of those city-raised boys. So what if I don't believe? I have friends waiting, so could you get to the point? The man in this picture is dead. The ominous music. See, told you, man, this is where shit gets real. And man, I've been holding off on mentioning anything about Tomotaki, and this right here. It's like the whole time I know about this, because, I've read the novels, so I obviously wasn't going to spoil what was going to inevitably happen. But, when they were, in the festival and Tomotaki came last, when they kept saying dead last, I was like, oh, man. That's just why? Why that wording, dead last? He's going to be dead last indeed. It's like, damn it. My mind went blank. Huh? What happened to Tomotaki-san? It would seem that he died last night. That was the night of Watanagashi. But just wait till you hear about how he died. It's kind of gruesome. You understand the implications behind that, my Mara-san? Implications, not any further cause of his death or the reasons behind it. The real problem was that he died on the day of the Watanagashi. Meaning, this year, the curse of Oyashiro-sama had once again. The death of Jiro Tomotaki is still confidential. You can understand why that is, right? I didn't want to understand why. Please, tell me what happened. It was rather peculiar. It might be a little too graphic for someone born and raised in Hinibazawa. This kind of ominous Eastern kind of... Was that a sitar there? Or maybe a koto? I don't know. It has that Eastern instrumental feel. It must be an Eastern instrument in general, isn't it? It was a roundabout way of saying it, but it caused me to doubt whether or not I wanted to hear the rest. Prepare for a gruesome... Well, the details are pretty gruesome, but... Like, in terms of, like, the type of, like, gruesome and, like, scary shit that happens in the plot, this is kind of, like, this is pretty tame in comparison, but still, it's like the first kind of, like, well, it isn't actually. It's when he came across the dam thing, that's the first, like, part of that type of the plot, where it's like, oh, darkness, dark, just like horror. Anyways, let's get to the plot. But I don't regret forcing myself to learn something I shouldn't. Or at least that's how I figured I would feel if I listened to the rest. Morbid curiosity. One of our patrol cars discovered the body on the way back from security detail at the festival. See, doesn't this background look familiar? That was in that one, the tip where I mentioned that this is more connected to the plot than the other ones. The other ones are as well, but they're like kind of more backstory at the moment than anything. It was late, about 5 till midnight. The location was... You know where the road into town becomes paved, right? Down past the slope on the shoulder, around there. There are a few streetlights on that road. Its pitch black darkness is only broken by the light of passing cars and the moon. Man, I'm starting to remember this now, even more. It was a stroke of luck that Tomotanka-san was spotted collapsed on the shoulder of the road. Tomotanka-san was face down, covered in blood, in the defense position. No, blood and muck covered the aspects. We thought it was a hit and run at first, but when the officer checked to see if he was still alive, he quickly noticed something abnormal. His throat had been ripped open. Gotta like how they throw in that kind of screech, you know, the kind of strike home is like, yeah, that is some fucked shit. From a knife or something? No, nails. It's even worse. Nails? As in fingernails? Of those, he clawed through. From the coroner's report, it was revealed that it was with his own nails. What does that mean? Basically, it means it wasn't a murder, but suicide. Gruesome! Tomotanka-san thought there was a reason to tear open his own throat, as hard as he could with his own nails. Tore through the skin until he started to bleed, and even then Tomotanka-san didn't stop. He continued clawing, with enough intensity that he could have peeled off his nails. Still clawing! Ah! Still clawing! Then as his nails reached those vital arteries that couldn't have damage, he continued clawing. And then splurch, blood splattered on the ground around him. It's hard to believe, really, isn't it, that this is the same novel in which we had those goofy scenes of them playing games. That's the thing, man. Just like lulls you in. It's just like, oh, it's slice of life, yeah, but slice of death. As he bled, wild, gasping for breath, he collapsed, his body spasmed, and he died in agony. We thought drugs were to blame, but nothing of that nature was detected. But this was suicide. I've never heard of such a thing. It's a unnatural way of dying. If this wasn't a mysterious death, then what was? The way he died, in these 5 years, his death most resembled that of a curse. As if to show both myself and Tomotanka-san, who proclaimed there was no such thing as a curse, that we were wrong. There were a few more suspicious details. From his body chemistry, perspiration, epilation, and so on, we concluded that he was in a state of hysteria right before his death. Well, I suppose that makes sense. I mean, can you imagine if he just casually did that without being completely hysteric? That was a given. It's hard to believe someone could be in a sound state of mind while clawing out their throats. Wounds on his hands matched the discarded piece of lumber found nearby. There are traces of where he struck trees and guardrails with it. Tomotanka-san's blood was found all over the place. Meaning that while tearing at his own throat, he was swinging around a piece of lumber. There were external injuries which were not self-inflicted, discovered on Tomitaki-san. There is a high probability Tomitaki-san was assaulted. The external injuries suggest there may be multiple suspects. To summarize, Tomitaki-san was surrounded and attacked. While wandering the night roads in a state of panic after being cornered, he picked up a piece of lumber and tried fighting back. Somewhere in there, he began madly tearing at his own throat, clawing at it. Then he died. The presumed time of death was around 9:23 p.m., meaning it occurred right after he finished talking to Tomitaki-san at the festival. What? Like right after he was like, yeah, just go up there and then dead. Jeez. Everyone signed Tomitaki-san's shirt and party ways, and that is clearly why he came to you to ask about it. Because your name was on it. Right after that. Oh yeah, he should have been with a woman. What about her? She's missing. She hasn't shown up to work and she hasn't returned home either. There is a very high probability that she was involved in this incident. Yeah, it's like not indicated as him saying out loud. I guess it implies that he also said it out loud right after, I guess. For a while I could only gaze off into space. I never would have thought that something unfortunate happening to someone close to me could affect me this deeply. The time I had spent with Tomitaki-san was short, but we went to the same festival, spent time together, and took part in the same competition. Yeah, that's bad enough in itself, but the way he died is even worse, isn't it? He was one of us. We have been continuing the investigation on various fronts, but when it comes to Oyashiro-sama's curse, the villagers here aren't very cooperative.
Which is exactly why he went to you, Keiichi. Because, well, he's not like a native of the village, he's only just moved there recently-ish. So he hasn't quite got that kind of like... And it's like what the teacher said, isn't it? It's just like, if anyone asks you questions and all that, just like, don't go spouting any stupid shit. Essentially like saying just like, don't talk about Oyashiro-sama's curse and all that. Just like, don't talk about it. That I knew well. I would have been none the wiser if not for Tomitaki-san, the outsider, telling me. So that's why you came to me. Because I'm not originally from Higurashi. I should have been angry at that. That was the reason he wanted to hear what happened from me. If things go the way they have been, then the conclusion would be that Jiro Tomitaki died from Oyashiro-sama's curse. He turned away from me and gazed up far off into the distance. He's just like doing that dramatically, is he? Just like, I think he smokes, so I wouldn't be surprised if he has a cigarette. Like, those hitters, Keiichi. What were we talking about again? Sorry, I was gazed off into the distance. The lighter was Onikakushi during that secret ritual. He obviously snapped off photos, angering Oyashiro-sama. That's how it's going to turn out. There's no way Oyashiro-sama would inflict the divine punishment on Tomitaki-san. Tomitaki-san had to have been killed by humans, and a cowardly group no less. There's no way I'm going to let this end up being the fault of some curse. I think so as well. There's no such thing as divine punishment or curses. The tense mood was cut with a man's hearty laugh. Ha ha ha! Now let's go back to comic relief, shall we? That's how this must be, my daughter-son. Cooperation from individuals in Higurashi who don't believe that the curse is indispensable. Understand? This makes me think of Karano Shoujo 2. It has a similar thing where it's like a rural village, and it's just like you got like this curse, and there's a bunch of deaths connected to it, and you got a detective essentially. But in the case of like Karano Shoujo, the detective happens to be the protagonist. It's just like, even he's just like, yeah, I don't think there's some curse or some shit. This is clearly the doing of people. It's just like, there's actually like a bit of a spoiler-ish for it, but like, there's a point where you can actually just be like, yeah, it's totally the curse. And then you get a game over soon after, because no, it ain't. I mean, it seems kind of obvious, really. Like, it's grounded more in reality, really, Karano Shoujo really is. So it's like, you don't really get much of the kind of like supernatural. Kotagra, on the other hand, which is the first one in that series, does have a little bit of supernatural-ishness to it. Which I'm wondering if that's why there's a certain bit of Kotagra that isn't referencing Karano Shoujo. If so, it bugs me nonetheless, because that's quite an important thing. So like, screw it, if it is a little supernatural-ish, just put it back in the plot. It bugs me that there's no answer to it. Anyways, I'm getting off subject here. Neither Tomitaka-san nor I believed in curses. But with the way things were going, it would just end up with Tomitaka-san's death making the 5th year. Which would mean that Hinamizawa had rejected Tomitaka-san. That was something I couldn't allow. You know, I will say one thing though, is that whether the curse is legit or if it's something else, that is hazy, very hazy. And I obviously won't spoil which of it is, and none of you viewers I've seen read the novels spoil it either, because that's kind of important much later on. Like, way later on, I'm talking so later on that it's like the answer arcs, essentially. And even then, it's the later of the answer arcs that's where we finally start to learn what's really going on. Higurashi's an odd series. It's just like, once we get to the second question arc after this, it'll pretty much be like, I'll just point out just like a bit more of how odd the series is there. Anyways, I'm rambling. Tomitaka-san was one of us. He didn't live in Hinamizawa, but he came every single year. In a sense, he was more of a resident than I was. There was no way that Tomitaka-san could have been cursed by Oyashiro-san. But there's nothing I can do to help. I have no idea what happened that night either. No, if you see or hear something that draws your attention, then that is enough. If I see or hear, talking in the future tense. Things or people or rumors. Anything is fine. I don't care if they're unfounded. Here, this is my number. If I'm not there, then just leave a message with whoever picks up. He handed me a piece of paper with his number on it, but I hesitated for a second. If I took it, then whether I wanted to or not, I'd be mired knee-deep in this matter. Please help me solve these questions surrounding Tomitaka-san Who's saying that? Is it Keiichi? He's the one who always calls him Tomitaka-san. Please help me solve these questions surrounding Tomitaka-san's unfortunate death. That's right. Why was I hesitating? Or maybe it was him, actually. Please find the murderer who killed my friend. I snatched up a piece of paper as a satisfied grin spread across his face. Everything we spoke of today is a secret. Please keep this confidential. Understood. From your friends as well. Especially from Sonozaki-san and Furude-san. Please do not inform me. Sonozaki? You mean Mion? Why? Are you saying they have something to do with the incident? Notice Furude-san? I think that's the first time we see Rika referred to by her last name, her family name there. With my friend's name is brought up so abruptly and being told to keep a secret from them, I became rather angry. Why didn't he say, what, Rika as well? It's just like, no, just Mion. This is what they call investigate privilege, I suppose. Don't play games with me. That's what we've been doing this whole novel till now. Mion is a close friend of mine. I snapped at him, but he didn't seem to especially be offended. I wouldn't mind telling you, but it may just upset you. Say it! He hesitated a little. Turning his gaze outside the car, he began to speak after thinking for a bit. He likes to trail off dramatically then, does he?